The chandeliers above the Adesanya dining hall glittered like captured stars. Zara Musa stood by the sideboard, wiping down the last set of crystal glasses, careful not to clink them too loudly. The clatter of cutlery, the smell of pepper soup, and the laughter of Abuja's elite blended into a rhythm she knew too well, the rhythm of servitude. For 2 years she had worked in this house, the marble-floored palace in Maitama, cleaning, polishing, ironing, existing. She'd learned to move like a whisper, to disappear when they arrived, to smile when they remembered her name. That evening, Chief Adesanya's family gathered for dinner to finalize plans for their annual charity gala, the Night of Elegance. Zara listened as she served plates of jollof rice and roasted fish. "We'll have senators, ambassadors, maybe even the Minister of Petroleum," Mrs. Adesanya said proudly. Damila Adesanya, the only son, leaned back in his chair, 30, confident, sharp-suit, the arrogance of someone born on a silver throne. "And maybe we should do something memorable this year," he said, swirling his wine. "Something different." Zara's hand paused mid-pour. His voice had that tone, the one he used when mischief brewed. "Different how?" his mother asked. Dami smirked. "Maybe we invite our maid." The table burst into laughter. One of Dami's friends almost choked on his drink. "You can't be serious," Mrs. Adesanya chuckled. "Why not?" Dami said. "Let's give her a makeover, a Cinderella moment. Imagine the headlines. The billionaire who invited his maid to the ball. It'll show we're humble." The sarcasm sliced through the air. Chief Adesanya's brows knitted, but he said nothing. Zara's hands trembled slightly. She kept her head low. When she turned to leave, Dami's voice followed her. "Zara, make sure you're free on Saturday. You're my special guest." The laughter returned, echoing in her chest long after she left the room. That night, she lay awake in the servants' quarters, staring at the ceiling fan as it spun lazily above her. Her chest felt tight, not from fear, but from humiliation. She whispered to herself, "If they're inviting me to laugh, let them laugh. But I'll walk in with my head high." She didn't know it yet, but that decision would change everything. Morning sunlight crawled through the dusty window pane. Kimi, Zara's closest friend in the quarters, nudged her awake. "You still think about that party?" Kimi asked, folding laundry. Zara sighed. "Yes. They didn't invite me. They challenged me." Kimi frowned. "Zara, they want to mock you in public. You know these rich people. You will be the joke of the night." Zara's voice was calm. Sometimes God lets them set the stage, just so he can change the script. The mansion buzzed with preparation. Decorators moving in and out, luxury cars unloading crates of champagne, designers carrying garment bags. None of it was for her. But that afternoon, the driver handed her a sealed envelope. "Olga say make I give you." Inside was a short handwritten note. "Zara, you have served this house with loyalty and grace. Get yourself something beautiful for the gala. Chief Adesanya." Folded beneath it were crisp 200,000 Nigerian Naira's notes. Tears filled her eyes. It wasn't pity, it was a sign. She spent the next day at Wu's 2 Market, weaving through stores of anchor and lace, accompanied by Kimi. They found a quiet tailor, Mama Tai, who studied Zara's frame and said, "You have the shape of a queen, my child. Let me make them see what they refuse to look at." They chose deep emerald satin that shimmered without shouting, the color of quiet power. As Mama Tai's machine hummed, Zara felt something stir in her chest, confidence long forgotten. By Friday night, the gown was ready. Zara stood before the cracked mirror, the fabric hugging her perfectly. Kimi gasped, "Zara, Abuja is not ready for you." Zara smiled faintly. "Then they'll learn tonight." The mansion transformed into a palace of lights. Security officers lined the gate, photographers flashed cameras, and violin music spilled into the humid air. Zara stood outside the servants' entrance, heart pounding. The emerald gown caught the glow of chandeliers. Kimi adjusted the strap. "Remember who you are," she whispered. "You are not a maid tonight. You're a woman with purpose." When Zara walked through the main doors, conversation faltered. Heads turned. The maid had arrived, but not the one they expected. Her natural curls framed her face like a crown. Her skin glowed, her carriage regal. The orchestra's violin seemed to play just for her entrance. Dammy, standing near the bar, froze mid-sip. "Wait, is that—" Mrs. Adesanya's jaw slackened. Even Chief Adesanya's eyes softened with quiet pride. Guests whispered, "Who is she?" "That's their maid. She looks like royalty." Zara approached calmly and greeted the family. "Good evening, Ma. Good evening. So—" Dammy forced a grin. "Wow, Zara, you clean up well, literally." She smiled gently. "Thank you, sir. I suppose I had a good example to learn from." A ripple of amused murmurs passed through the guests. Dammy's smirk faltered. Moments later, a tall, dignified man approached. Dr. Idris Ahmed, founder of the Ahmed Foundation. "Zara Musa," he said, surprise lighting his face. "You once volunteered at our orphanage in Kubwa. I never forgot your kindness." He offered his arm. Cameras flashed. Guests stared. Zara's humility glowed brighter than the diamonds around her. And just like that, the maid became the story of the night. Dr. Idris guided Zara into the ballroom, where reporters swarmed like bees to light. "She's extraordinary," one whispered. "She's genuine." Meanwhile, Dammy seethed. His plan to humiliate her had turned her into a sensation. Chief Adesanya watched quietly, a knowing smile on his lips. "Sometimes," he told his wife, "God uses the humble to humble the proud." Zara mingled gracefully. When asked about her work, she answered honestly, "I'm a housekeeper. I serve the Adesanya family, and I'm grateful for the chance to do it with dignity." Her honesty disarmed the wealthy crowd. Even hardened CEOs applauded. But Demi couldn't handle it. He cornered her near the staircase. "Don't think this makes you special," he hissed. "You're still the help." Zara met his glare. "Maybe, but tonight I'm the help everyone came to see." His jaw tightened. He wanted to argue, but the camera flash caught the mid-scene. Her poised, him trembling. By midnight, Abuja's gossip blogs had posted the photo. Maid turns heads at Adesanya Gala. Hash the maid who stole the show, hash Zara Musa trend #1 on Twitter. While Dammy sulked, Zara went home smiling softly. Not proud, just grateful that God had turned a cruel invitation into divine elevation. At dawn, Zara's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Kimi burst into the room, waving her device. "You're everywhere." Bellonija, Instablog, Pulse, Channels TV, Zara Musa. Zara blinked. Her social media had exploded. Followers in tens of thousands. Messages from strangers calling her Queen Zara. Chief Adesanya called her to his study. He stood by the window, newspaper in hand, the headline screaming. Maid turns charity ball into a Abuja fairy tale. He smiled kindly. "You reminded me that class has nothing to do with money." "Thank you, Zara." Mrs. Adesanya remained silent, her pride wounded. Dammy avoided her entirely. By noon, Dr. Idris visited. "Zara, the board loved your story. We'd like you to join our foundation as a communications assistant." She blinked. "Me? So, I only finished secondary school." He smiled. "Wisdom can't be bought with degrees." That week, Zara moved from the servants' quarters to a small flat in Gaki, her own place for the first time. As the city buzzed about the maid who became a miracle, Zara knelt by her bed that night and whispered, "God, you lifted me higher than I could dream. But if this is a beginning, give me strength for the rest." Outside, lightning cracked over the Abuja skyline. Change was coming, and not all of it would be kind. Morning sunlight spilled across the Adesanya estate, but inside, tension thickened the air. Damila Adesanya sat slumped in his father's home office, scrolling through social media posts he wished didn't exist. Everywhere he looked, it was the same headline: Zara Musa, the maid who stole the show. Her smile, her humility, her story, trending everywhere. The comments were worse. "This maid has more class than Abuja's entire upper class combined." Dammy Adesanya's arrogance aged like expired Gary. He threw his phone across the desk, veins throbbing in his neck. "They're laughing at me. Dad, my name is a joke." Chief Adesanya didn't flinch. "No, Dammy, you made yourself a joke." You're defending her now. I'm defending decency. That girl worked under this roof for 2 years and never stole, never lied, never complained. Can you say the same for yourself? The words landed like punches. Dami rose, fists clenched. You've always wanted a perfect child. Maybe Zara can be your daughter then. He stormed out, slamming the door. That night, anger turned into obsession. He scrolled through Zara's interviews, each one more popular than the last. Her new job at Idris Ahmed Foundation was making her a public darling, and the more the world adored her, the deeper his hatred grew. By midnight, he made a call to a media contact, his voice low and cold. I want her reputation destroyed. I don't care how you do it. He hung up, unaware that in trying to dim her light, he was walking straight into darkness. At the Foundation's office in Gaki, Zara walked in wearing a crisp white blouse and calm confidence. Her colleague smiled as she passed, no longer the maid from Itama, but Zara Musa, the woman whose story touched millions. Dr. Idris noticed her through the glass wall of his office and smiled. You bring peace with you, Zara. Even the staff work better when you're here. She laughed shyly. I'm still learning, sir. Sometimes I forget I'm not serving breakfast in trays anymore. Her humility melted every barrier. Within a month, she had organized 2 successful donation drives and launched an online campaign for displaced families in the North. One morning, a producer from Arise TV called. Zara, we'd love to feature your story on our program, Voices of Change. She hesitated. I'm not used to cameras. That's why people will believe you, the woman replied. That interview changed everything. Zara sat before the cameras in a simple anchor gown, speaking with quiet confidence. People think being a maid is shameful, but I believe there's honor in any work done with dignity. I'm not ashamed of who I was. By evening, the video had 3 million views. The comment section overflowed with love. This woman speaks with grace. Her story gives me hope. But in another corner of Abuja, Dami watched that same video, his knuckles white around his phone. She's using me to stay relevant, he muttered. His pride whispered lies until jealousy became his only voice. 2 days later, social media changed tone. A headline appeared on a gossip blog. Viral maid Zara Musa exposed. Former employer alleges theft and lies. The story claimed she was fired from a past job for stealing jewelry. Fake screenshots. False testimonies. Manufactured shame. By afternoon, it had spread across Twitter and WhatsApp groups. Her once loving comment section turned bitter. Typical. She fooled everyone. They're all the same, pretending to be humble. Zara sat frozen in her small Gaki apartment, scrolling through the hate. Her chest felt heavy, her throat dry. Kimi rushed in. Zara, ignore them. It's lies. Tears streamed down her face. But everyone believes it. Dr. Idris arrived an hour later. His tone was firm. We'll handle this. I know exactly where these lies came from. He hired a digital forensics team that traced the fabricated documents to a PR firm connected to Dami. Within 48 hours, the truth exploded online. Adesanya aired behind smear campaign against former Maid. Public opinion flipped instantly. Dami became the villain of his own story. Chief Adesanya's fury was volcanic. You dragged his family name through mud for what? Dami tried to speak, but his father's voice thundered. You are suspended from all company duties. From today, you will learn what it means to earn respect, not buy it. The once untouchable billionaire's son was grounded, while the maid he tried to destroy was being called Abuja's Cinderella. While Dami sulked in silence, Zara thrived. Her foundation campaign tripled in donations. Brands reached out. Schools invited her to speak. She stayed grounded. She still rode taxis, still greeted cleaners by name, still prayed every night for peace. Then came the unexpected invitation, the UN Youth Empowerment Summit in Geneva. Dr. Idris handed her the letter himself. Zara, you become more than a story. You're a movement. Her hands trembled. Me? Speak at the UN. He nodded. You've earned the world, Zay. Now use it. The trip was life-changing. Zara stood before a global audience, her voice steady. I once cleaned floors that others walked proudly on. Today, I stand here to remind you, destiny doesn't check social class before it calls your name. The hall erupted in applause. Even international media featured her speech. She returned to Abuja as a national icon. But with fame came danger. At the airport, she noticed a familiar black Prado parked near the exit. Tinted windows, engine idling. She felt a chill, a shadow creeping back from her past. Demi wasn't done yet. The note appeared on her car seat 3 nights later. No footprints. No fingerprints. Just 7 words scrawled in capital letters. You can't hide behind your angel face. Her hand shook. Kimi urged her to move to a safer location, but Zara refused. I won't let fear cage me. She told Dr. Idris everything. His jaw tightened. We'll get you protection, he said. This is more than jealousy. It's obsession. Meanwhile, Dami's mental state deteriorated. His privilege stripped, his friends gone, his phone flooded with insults. He drank heavily, haunted by his father's words, "You embarrass yourself." He stared at Zara's viral pictures, her smile, her peace, and hated her even more. To him, she wasn't human anymore. She was a mirror showing him everything he failed to be. Late one night, he whispered to his driver, "Follow her. Just scare her a little." The driver hesitated. "Oga, that girl get got-o. Do as I say." Dami barked. 3 days later, the car followed Zara's Corolla down the dimly lit Abuja Kefi Road. But the plan didn't go as intended. A truck swerved unexpectedly. Tires screeched. Glass shattered. The Prado slammed into a tree. Dami wasn't inside, but Zara's car veered off the road and crashed into a barrier. When she opened her eyes, all she saw was light. Blinding, soft, endless. The news spread before dawn. Zara Musa involved in car accident. Abuja held its breath. The city that once mocked her now prayed for her. The air smelled of antiseptic and quiet pain. Zara woke to the steady beep of a heart monitor and the hum of hospital machines. Her right leg was in a cast, her head wrapped. The ceiling lights blurred into soft halos. Kimi sat beside her, eyes swollen from crying. "Zara, you're awake. Thank God." Her voice trembled. "What happened?" Kimi sniffed. "You were driving home from the foundation. A car tried to run you off the road. You hit the barrier. Police say it looked planned." Zara's heart sank. "Dami," she whispered. Dr. Idris entered, exhaustion etched into his face. He leaned gently on her bed frame. "You're safe now. That's what matters. But you need to rest." Over the next few days, the hospital filled with flowers, letters, and prayers. Pray for Zara trended for 3 days straight. Even those who once mocked her now wept for her recovery. Chief Adesanya came quietly one night, unannounced. He stood by her bedside, hat in hand, his usually proud posture bent with guilt. "Zara," he said softly, "I raise a son who doesn't understand consequence. I am sorry." Tears welled in her eyes. "Sir, you didn't drive that car." But my silence helped him become the man who did. He reached into his coat and placed a check on her bedside table. "This won't fix what happened, but let it fund whatever good you dream of next." She looked at the check, 10 million Nigerian nairas, and shook her head. "I don't want his punishment to be money, sir. I just want peace." For a moment, he saw what his son never did, that Zara's strength wasn't in pride but in grace. 2 days later, Demilla was arrested. When the news broke, Abuja erupted. The Adesanya name that once commanded admiration now carries shame. And in a quiet hospital bed, the maid who became a miracle whispered, "God, please heal his heart too." By the time Zara left the hospital, she was walking on crutches, but her spirit stood taller than ever. Reporters crowded her apartment complex. Every headline screamed her name. Zara forgive the billionaire's son who tried to kill her. She had given a single interview from her hospital bed. Her voice was calm, deliberate. "Hate can't heal hate. If I don't forgive him, I'll carry his bitterness in my soul." The clip was shared millions of times. Churches played it on Sunday mornings. Motivational speakers quoted her online. Even prison counselors used her story to teach inmates about redemption. But not everyone was happy. Mrs. Adesanya refused to leave her mansion, humiliated and angry. "That girl has ruined us," she told her husband. "She turned our family into a sermon." Chief Adesanya sighed. "No, my dear, she turned our shame into a mirror." Meanwhile, Zara returned to the Idris Ahmed Foundation, greeted by applause. The entire staff lined the entrance holding flowers. Dr. Idris smiled as she walked in. "You became a symbol, Zara. The whole country saw what forgiveness looks like." She blushed. "I didn't mean to be famous. I just didn't want to stay broken." That day, she gave her first public speech since the accident. Cameras rolled as she said, "When life throws you down, stand up with peace. People expect revenge. Surprise them with grace." The crowd stood in thunderous applause. Chief Adesanya watched from the audience, wiping tears he didn't hide. He realized something deeper that day. Zara wasn't his maid anymore. She was his teacher. Months passed. Dami's world shrank from penthouses to prison cells. The first week, he refused to eat. The second, he stopped talking. By the third, he realized silence was his only friend. He replayed her words in his head. "You're still the help." But now, he wished someone, anyone, would help him. Chief Adesanya visited one humid afternoon, dressed in plain clothes. "You look smaller, son." "I feel smaller," Dami muttered. His father sighed deeply. "Zara forgave you, Dami, but can you forgive yourself?" He looked up, hollow-eyed. "I don't deserve to." "Then earn it. The same world that what you fall will watch you rise if you let it." After 3 months, Dami was released on probation. He returned to a home that no longer felt like his. His mother barely spoke. His father had resigned as CEO, leaving control of the company to the board. The only thing that still carried warmth was a family chapel, and that's where he found Zara one afternoon, lighting a candle alone. He froze. She turned, meeting his gaze calmly. "I didn't know you prayed here," he said softly. "Prayer doesn't belong to a class, sir," she replied. He swallowed. "I don't expect you to forgive me again." "I already did," she said. "But forgiveness isn't for you. It's for my peace." He nodded slowly, tears glistening. "Then maybe I'll start by learning peace from you." That day marked the first crack in Dami's pride and the first seed of redemption. Zara's recovery reignited media fascination. Her speech about forgiveness made international headlines. CNN ran a feature, "From Maid to Movement, the Nigerian Woman Redefining Grace." But Zara refused endorsement deals and modeling contracts. "I'm not a brand," she told Dr. Idris. "I'm just a reminder." She instead launched a new arm of the foundation, Hands of Hope, offering scholarships and financial aid to domestic workers across Nigeria. At the first award event, hundreds of maids, gardeners, and drivers filled the hall, some weeping as Zara shook their hands personally. "If you clean homes," she said into the microphone, "you are not less human. You are part of someone's story, and one day the world will see yours too." Applause thundered through the hall. Dr. Idris watched from backstage, eyes filled with quiet pride. Later that evening, he found her sitting by the window, staring at the Abuja skyline. "You know, Zara," he said, "you're doing God's work with a human heart." She smiled faintly. "And you're the reason I still believe good men exist." Their friendship deepened, tender, unspoken, genuine. Meanwhile, Dami began volunteering anonymously with NGOs. He cleaned community centers, served food in orphanages, and spoke to young men about ego and consequence. Each act chipped away at the arrogance that once ruled him. The city whispered about his change, but Zara didn't speak of it. She just prayed he'd find his peace. 6 months later, Abuja glittered again, this time for the Hands of Hope annual gala, hosted not in Maitama but at the International Conference Center. Zara walked in, radiant in royal blue, her limp barely noticeable now. As she greeted guests, the whole fell silent. Everyone rose, not because of fame, but out of respect. Dr. Idris took the stage. "Tonight," he began, "we honor a woman who turned pain into purpose, mockery into ministry, and hatred into healing." Zara Musa, you are the light the city didn't know it needed. The crowd cheered. Cameras flashed. Zara's eyes glistened with tears. Later, as the music faded and guests dispersed, Dr. Idris walked her to the balcony overlooking Abuja's skyline. Soft jazz played in the background. Zara, he said quietly, when I first saw you at that gala, I saw a queen who didn't know she was wearing a crown. She smiled, her heart pounding. And you reminded me who I was. The silence between them was warm, unhurried. He reached for her hand gently. Maybe now you'll let someone walk beside you, not as your rescuer, but as your equal. Zara looked up at him, the city lights reflecting in her eyes. Then walk slowly, she whispered. I'm still healing. He smiled. So am I. That night, as the stars blinked over Abuja, two souls, one scarred, one steadfast, began a new chapter, not in wealth or revenge, but in shared grace. And somewhere across town, Dami knelt in prayer for the first time in years, whispering, Thank you, God, for letting her win without destroying me. Rain lashed against the glass walls of the foundation office when the courier arrived. Zara almost told him to leave the package at reception until she saw her late father's name written in neat, old-fashioned ink. Inside the brown envelope was a single letter and a folded deed. The letter trembled in her hands. My daughter, if you ever find this, know that the land I toiled for was taken from me by men in fine suits. One day, the truth will knock again. The deed bore a seal, Adesanya Holdings Limited. Her heart dropped. The same company that once employed her had once stolen from her family. Dr. Idris found her still staring at the document hours later. Are you all right? My father's land. There's signatures on it, she whispered. Chief Adesanya's. He exhaled slowly. Then maybe it's time the truth came home. That night Zara couldn't sleep. She wasn't angry, just hollow. Could the man who'd shown her kindness also have profited from her family's pain? At dawn she wrote a letter requesting a private meeting. She signed it simply, Zara Musa, daughter of Musa Ibrahim. Chief Adesanya received the letter over breakfast. His wife read the name aloud. His spoon froze midair. Hours later, he arrived at the foundation unannounced. The receptionist led him to Zara's office. She stood when he entered, calm but trembling. Sir, I didn't call you here to accuse you, she began, only to understand. She laid the deed on the table. The old man adjusted his glasses, reading the faded signature, his own, from 30 years ago. Silence hung heavy. Then his shoulders slumped. I remember this. I signed the takeover, but I didn't know the land belonged to Musa Ibrahim. Your father and I were young men then. A broker forged documents. I never looked deeper. Tears blurred his vision. Zara, I wronged a good man without knowing, and I took what should have been yours. She swallowed hard. Then fix it, sir. The next day, before cameras and reporters, Chief Adesanya held a press conference. I, Chief Bemidele Adesanya, hereby return the disputed property in Jabi to its rightful heir, Miss Zara Musa. Let this be my atonement. Applause filled the room. Zara wept quietly as he turned to her. I once built empires of pride. Today I rebuild a legacy for peace. Across Abuja, people whispered. The powerful were finally learning humility. News of his father's public confession reached Dami at the youth center where he now volunteered. For the first time in months, he felt pride, not in himself, but in the man his father had become. That evening he visited Zara. She met him at the foundation courtyard, dusk painting the sky orange. You've done more than forgive, he said softly. You've changed my family. We all needed changing, she replied. He looked down. I want to work here. No pay. Just work. Zara studied his face, the arrogance gone, replaced by quiet shame. Then start tomorrow. The children could use another big brother. Weeks turned into months. Dami swept floors, taught maths, and organized the nations. At first people whispered isn't that the billionaire's son, but over time they just called him Uncle Dami. One afternoon, a little boy asked, Uncle Dami, why do you always smile when you see Auntie Zara? He chuckled, because she reminds me God still gives second chances. And when Zara overheard, her heart softened completely. Forgiveness had become friendship, and friendship, quiet respect. A year later, invitations spread across Abuja. The Night of Elegance Gala, in honor of Hands of Hope Foundation. The same event that once marked a maid now celebrated her mission. Zara arrived in a flowing silver gown, the color of redemption. Cameras flashed, but this time she walked the red carpet not as a novelty, but as a symbol. Inside, Chief Adesanya waited at the entrance with his wife and Dammy. When she approached, Mrs. Adesanya took her hand, eyes glistening. "We judged you by where you slept instead of who you were. Forgive me." "You already are," Zara said gently. The whole rose as she took the stage. She glanced around. Same chandeliers, same marble floor, but tonight every light felt softer. "Last year I was invited here to be laughed at," she began. "But God doesn't waste humiliation. He turns it into preparation." Applause thundered. Chief Adesanya wiped tears openly. Even Dammy smiled through them. As the orchestra swelled, Zara looked toward Dr. Idris near the front row. He gave a small nod that said everything. "You did it." Later, on the balcony overlooking Abuja's glittering skyline, the air was cool, the city alive with fireworks. Dr. Idris joined her, hands tucked in his pockets. "Do you realize this view once belonged only to them?" he asked. "And now it belongs to everyone who was told they weren't enough," she replied. He smiled. "You became the star of the night after all." Zara shook her head, tears glinting in the fireworks light. "No, I just learned that stars shine brightest after darkness tries to swallow them." Behind them, guests chanted her name softly. Zara Musa, the heart of Abuja. Chief Adesanya stood with his son, proud again for the right reasons. Zara turned back to the city that once ignored her and whispered, "For every girl scrubbing a floor tonight, your crown is coming." The camera of the imagination pulls back. Abuja aglow beneath the night sky, the laughter of a once broken woman rising like music. Fade out.